Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Had some technology glitching. My video would not start, so I am on my phone. Let me just get set up here. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I'm just gonna double check that I'm in the right group from this browser here. If you're streaming in, say hello. Welcome to Playful Millions, day one. I had the beats going on my phone, but it was not to be today. Okay, great. I'm in the right group. Let me just move my phone here so I can see your comments. Hello! My hair is so long. I'm actually thinking of chopping it off. Like, I used to have it like real short. And I feel like every time I go through a change in life, I get this like burning desire to cut my hair. And what's interesting about that is I've started to, I don't know the references of this, but I was encountering, and it was kind of just coming up randomly. You know, when you hear something once and then it starts to get mentioned everywhere else, it's like the universe is like trying to speak to you. I started to encounter this idea that hair, especially in a lot of indigenous tribes, like Native Americans, for example, is seen as something very sacred that holds a lot of wisdom. And someone was even saying that hair is our intuition, kind of like the cat's whiskers, how we sense the electromagnetic world, right? That our eyes can only really see less than 1% of. What you're seeing in your physical reality is literally less than 1% of that electromagnetic spectrum. But just because your eyes can't see that doesn't mean your body is not receiving those signals and sending them as well. And someone was saying hair is like how we receive those signals, our little intuition. I don't know how much of that is based in truth. Do with it what you will, but I thought that was quite cool. So welcome everybody to day one of Playful Millions. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I had the most incredible night last night. I finally received my New Zealand citizenship. And the reason I want to talk about this one is because Playful Millions, we're going to really be stepping into celebrating and using that as a mechanism to compound that which we desire. And B, because that has been a pure manifestation from the divine feminine. So we talked about in Money Magic, this embodiment that's really the art of cultivating the financial freedom, the sense of ease that you're after in your life. And this embodiment is made up of both intention as well as actions and behaviors, because we're literally moving through a reality that is made of physical and non-physical components. So when we marry those two together, that's when we create really powerful magic in our lives. Especially important for the desires that we really, really, really want. And usually money is one of those. Money is probably a subject matter that you think about quite frequently during the day. Hopefully, if you've been in this group for a minute and you've been applying the protocols, like one of the coolest things that has come out of the work that I'm doing is recently I got on a lot of podcast episodes for Flow Protocols, and I spoke to people that were both in the coven as well as people who were not in the coven, and the difference is like night and day, guys. It's night and day. The people that are in the coven, some of the conversations I'm having go something along the lines of, I'm still not making a lot of money, but I actually feel really good about it. I feel fine about it, which is like such contrast to those outside of this group. And obviously, We want to be able to manifest those things and receive them and experience them in our physical reality. But the premise of being able to embody that starts with it is an art. It really is an art. It's an art form. It's almost similar to method acting, invocation, this embodiment, which is made up of intention and actions. And it is possible to manifest the money that you want, the perfect client. We're doing this challenge in the group right now. Attracting the perfect client just through the feminine alone, just through intention. And this was my experience with my citizenship. I had it pinned on my vision board. I decided to engage the masculine. I submitted an application, went through all of that, all the paperwork involved. Honestly, I had procrastinated that for years because I was dreading the paperwork. I'm really bad with that stuff. And came back, they told me I was missing documents, that my application wasn't complete. And I kind of gave up on it because I was like, well, I have a Canadian passport, whatever. I've been here for 20 years now. We're fine. I don't need this citizenship. But it was still pinned on my vision board. And so I would wake up every day and see this thing. And after a minute, I started to realize, you know what? I actually really do want this. This is important to me. And I kid you not, almost as soon as I connected back to that desire, I get an email from New Zealand Immigration. They're asking me why I haven't finished my thing. I'm telling them it's too hard. I have to go to the Canadian consulate, get a new birth certificate, like jump through all these hoops for this one missing document. And they tell me we'll handle it all. Don't you worry about a thing. We got this. I was so shocked because I've never heard anyone in a government agency talk like that, offer these services. And lo and behold, they completed my entire application for me. This was not a paid service. I don't even think you could pay them to do this. And I attended my ceremony last night. Now, even in the ceremony itself, I was still manifesting. This was a big ceremony. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how this would go down. There was, I would say, at least 300 or 400 people. It was in a big kind of theater, and we all lined up rows and rows. And very interesting side note here is it was super ritualistic, which was very interesting as an alchemist to observe and pay attention to. In that they brought out the Maori dancers, there was prayer time. We all sat up and chanted the anthem or what we could of it. So they took us through this entire ritual, this process. And it really reaffirmed this idea that we are so innately drawn towards ritual work to mark, to shift behavioral changes, to enchant ourselves, right? Because it wouldn't have the same impact if they were just like, here's your certificate, right? They had to take us through this big ritual to make it feel like, yes, I'm a citizen. And they start calling out rows. We're like in row number 10, me and my daughter. And it's going to take us like quite a while, like the next 2 hours to get through everybody. And they randomly call out my name. Like I'm sitting way in the back and my name just comes up as soon as they call number 2. So I run up on stage and I get my certificate early. Then the guy drops the certificates on the floor and everything gets mixed up. So they can't do row to row anymore. They have to just call out people's name, and it goes from like constant clapping to like just groaning. Everyone realizes they're going to be there for 4 hours now. But I had gotten my certificate. So me and my daughter escaped. So that whole experience of manifesting my citizenship was very much deeply ingrained in the divine feminine. Yes, there was some masculine in there where I did initially submit that application. So it created that embodiment, but it was very much something that I compelled mostly from the non-physical. mostly through the feminine. And this can be done with your desires around money, whether you're trying to pay off loans or debts, or you want to purchase a trip somewhere, or you want to upgrade something about your lifestyle. A lot of you guys in the group on the manifestation challenge, you desired new clients. This is what you're aiming for, and you have lots of reasons why you're after that. And it's totally possible to attract that version of reality, to basically lock into that probability and direct yourself straight there. But sometimes when we have a burning desire, like we really, really want it, or it's something that the lack of it creates so much tension in our lives of anxiety, frustration, doubts. Am I sabotaging myself, right? Something's wrong. What's wrong? What's going on? What is happening here? Something's wrong. This is when it's really, really powerful to pull in that full embodiment of both forces, intention and action, because the citizenship certificate was something that I wanted, but I wasn't attached to. I was able to let it go. I wasn't vibrating to the place where I'm acutely aware that I don't have it, right? Waking up every morning going, where is it? Literally, I had given up on it. I was like, I don't need it anymore. Fine. I had come to terms with that. And that was the energy required for me to actually receive it in that form of magic, the way that it came to me. But this can be very tricky to do when we have a financial desire, and the lack of those finances in our life is really creating a stress point or some anxiety or some chaos for us. It can be difficult for us to go, whatever, I don't need it, right? And this is where we're going to become way more intentional with our actions and our behaviors and matching those for that full embodiment. And of course, the vibration and the embodiment that we are ultimately going to be calibrating to together over the next 8 weeks is going to be the vibration of play. And why play? The reason that this is the vibration that we're going to be working with is, for me, this has been the most profound way to connect and create a relationship with money in my own life. So for most of my life, I really believed that money was something that I sacrificed for, that it was something greedy and even evil, that it was a great source of suffering, that it was completely opposite to love. And not surprisingly, that has been my experience or my relationship with money most of my life. It was a sacrificial one. At first, I sacrificed my body. I sacrificed my time. I sacrificed my mental well-being. I sacrificed my fulfillment. You gotta work hard. You gotta lose your weekends. Spend less time with your family if you want to be successful in life. And this paradigm, these paradigms, which most of us have been raised under the umbrella of, most of us have carried these stories, right? Some of you guys may be on a witch hunt right now going, why am I sabotaging my money? Where did this come from? What was said to me? What happened to me, right? And the truth is, my goodness, you're not alone. Most people have those narratives and have those paradigms because of the stories that we were told around money growing up and how conflicted those stories really were. But if you look at the world and how things have been structured so far, and you look at the stories that we were told about money, most of them sit under paradigms that are deeply rooted in the masculine, of actions, of pushing, of time, right? Like, give it time. It's going to take time for you to get there. And so while that can work as well, just like you can manifest purely from the feminine, you can definitely manifest when you're heavily in the masculine. My experience of this has been that it is very difficult. It's very, very difficult, and you start to get into the struggle of life because you're working only in the physical, right? Of like strategies, sweat, equity, actions, those kinds of things, behaviors. And as I started to go through different relationships with money in my own life, I've been through almost every shade there is on the financial spectrum. I've been homeless, living in the street. I have been an underage stripper, hustling. I have been dependent on my partner. I have had dependents. I have made lots of money. I squandered lots of money. I made money again. I've been through so many different shades of the financial spectrum. And through all of this, I have come to appreciate that really the only sacrifice that's required of money is a sacrifice of those paradigms, those old beliefs that we have. And that it is possible to create and cultivate a relationship with money based off this vibration of play that allows you to not only receive with far more ease, but also maintain, and says it is rooted in your well-being to begin with. So it mitigates a lot of the manic chasing that you can see. It mitigates a lot of the I need money in order to be happy, right? The conditions, which never solve for ultimately what you're after. Play is, to me, receiving money from play looks something like I have a lot of ideas. I get inspired really easily. My mind is sometimes like a little gopher and it just wants to go. And a lot of the times, those things don't make a lot of sense on paper, and they don't necessarily have anything to do with money. For example, one of the things that I'm going through right now is I bought a chainsaw, and there's a big willow tree that fell down in my yard that has a lot of sentimental value. I didn't want someone else to cut it, so I'm teaching myself how to learn this chainsaw. I learned the hard way that you should never chainsaw through dirt. That completely messed up my new chainsaw. But I'm learning as I go, and I'm allowing this compulsion and this flow to come through me, this expression of myself, even though on paper it makes no sense. That, to me, is an example of receiving in the vibration of play. Meaning it gives me the freedom and the ability to follow those things that feel like compulsions to my core, that feel like flow, that feel exciting, and also to let go or walk away or to pivot away from the things that no longer feel like that for me. Because sometimes those things can just dissipate really quickly. You know, I may not be into my chainsaw in a month from now. And I used to really chastise myself over this. I used to label that as a self-sabotaging behavior. And I used to really, try to force myself, just focus on one thing. But I learned that the hard way, that actually stifles my flow. And when I stifle my flow, I start to experience all kinds of chaos, mostly meant in the form of mental chaos. So it was no good for me. So receiving money in play, Playful Millions for me, a part of that is the freedom to create and the freedom to be in flow with how I create, meaning what I am creating and the value that I bring to the world is allowed to be freely expressed through me and explored. Receiving money in play or play, that playful vibration, again, it's about having a cadence with money where I'm no longer antagonized by it, seeing it as a villain, feeling a victim with my money, but rather almost like an amicable, friendly relationship, right? If you think about who are the people that put you in a state of play in your life, when you're around them, you get goofy, you joke a lot, you're maybe courageous, you do wild things. Is there a good friend that you have? Is there a family member that you have? Is there somebody in your life that puts you in that vibration? And how do you behave around this person? Like, who are you when you're around this person, when they bring this out of you, right? This can be a really great exercise, by the way, to think about the people that, or environments that naturally put you into a state of play, and to begin to bring some of those characteristics towards this energy of money, this personification of money that we're going to really settle into together. Receiving money in play is also about full trust and full surrender. When you look at the vibration of play itself, it is composed of inquisitiveness, and it's composed of a little bit of chaos, and it's composed of courage. You're willing to do things that you maybe weren't willing to without this vibration behind you. Maybe you're willing to climb up a tree and do something silly because it's that vibration of play. Maybe you're willing to go and try something outside of your comfort zone. But you're resilient to the fears and the doubts, and you're able to shut down that part of the mind that's telling you, panic, what are you doing? This is an outlier. This is going to backfire. You're able to shut that down. You have more resilience. You have more trust and confidence in yourself. And I have found that when money is commanded from this vibration of play, of inquisitiveness, of courage, of easygoing nature that is not rooted in antagonism and blame, I blame capitalism, I blame the elites, I blame the existence of money itself for my problems. When money is commanded from that vibration of play, it is for the greatest good of all, for yourself and for anyone who encounters you or the exchange value that you're putting out there. There's none of this, you need to betray, you need to backstab. That doesn't work. It will only backfire on you, and it will only send you into more reds. So when we're playing with this energy of money, with the foundation of this vibration of play, it gets to be better and better and better for ourselves and everyone around us. It is a force of expansion. Is there a sacrifice required to have this kind of relationship with money? Yes, but the only one is a sacrifice of old paradigms, of old ways of thinking and patterns and behaviors. Is that easier said than done? Yes. If it was super, super easy to just abandon old paradigms and old beliefs, everyone would be able to just flip a switch right on the spot. Spontaneous combustion. Bravo, you're going to be a millionaire. That is not the case. That's not what we observe. And the reason for that is we're very just protective of our comforts. We're very we're afraid of the unknowns. We're afraid of the things that our brains cannot compute. And so more often than not, we will stick with existing paradigms because as uncomfortable as they are in our lives, they're more comfortable than the big, scary unknown. So is there a sacrifice? Yes. but it is just a paradigm, a way of thinking and feeling about your money, a sacrifice of certain actions and behaviors. It is a process of realignment. And this alignment is that integrity between the feminine and the masculine. So inside of Playful Millions, what we're going to be doing over the next 4 weeks is we're going to be engaging in a lot of methods of play together to bring that vibration into the relationship that we have with money. The aim is that you are able to be in a space of much where I was at with my New Zealand citizenship, of total well-being within yourself and trust and surrender that it is, and the ability to just kind of let it go, but act as if it already were. This is the embodiment that we're looking for. And a lot of the times people will say to me, Kat, I'm doing, the affirmations, I'm journaling my intentions, I'm writing everything down, I'm doing the rituals, I'm engaging this feminine. How come the money hasn't arrived yet? Where's the money? How come I haven't manifested yet? And then quickly that train of thought, you can see, starts to spin itself into, I'm doing something wrong, something isn't working, here I go sabotaging myself, right? And then we're back in the reds with it. The key with embodiment, with total integrity, is that you cannot be perceptive that it is not there and be in full embodiment. So as long as we have one eyeball on the prize going, I wanted a client, I wanted $20,000, where is it? It's not here. How come it's not arriving here? Oh my God, this money isn't here. Our focus point is going to be such that it will impact the masculine, and it's not possible to have that full embodiment when we still have one eyeball going, where is it? So Playful Millions, my intention is to really place you in a space where you're no longer focusing that one eyeball on where is it, but you're actually perceptive of it coming in. You're going to open up to that 99% of that electromagnetic spectrum, and you're going to tap into that, and you're going to be able to see how it is on its way and to feel that it is on its way to complete the full embodiment. And that's how you're going to be able to tap into that big playful money. This is the kind of money that defies strategies, guys. I'm not going to be teaching you strategies like get this funnel up, do this sales page, because I know better now. I used to tell people like, you got to follow these steps and do this. And it worked for people only because it enchanted them into believing that that would work. But then I've also gone and experienced things in my business where I haven't used sales pages and I've sold high ticket, things that I never thought were possible, things that I used to tell people were not possible to do. I've experienced growth in my business despite having, no sales team or the things that I thought were necessary before, despite not working 9-hour days, 12-hour days, despite being able to take a weekend off or do even a week off, right? And not have to post on social media all the time. I've experienced big money despite not following any of the rules or typical strategies that I once believed were necessary for money. And I achieved that by abandoning those old paradigms and by allowing myself to enter into a playful relationship with money, where I surrender and I allow that receiving to take place serendipitously, in the most amazing of ways. So this is what we're going to be calibrating to together. And I asked you guys to bring a pen and paper, but I actually forgot that this was a live. I was confusing it with a Zoom. So I'm going to be giving you an exercise for each one of the weeks that we're going to do together to help put you in that vibration of play. Before we get into that, I just want to, first of all, let me ask you, what are your desires? Recap those. Even if you shared those in Money Magic, post them in the comments below. Like, what is it that you desire? What is it that you want with your money? What is the type of relationship that you want with your money? What is the kind of version of reality that you, financial reality that you desire? So typically, money is kind of like seen as this force of like we're taking something from someone, right? It's like we might have an agency or working with clients, and sometimes we feel guilty about charging the prices that we want to charge, or about sending the invoice or following up on the invoice because we feel like there's like we're taking something, you know? The whole conversation of money is just smeared in this connotation that there's something evil about it. There's something evil about capitalism. So before we start to connect this energy with this vibration of play and really get into that kind of cadence with our dragons, it's important that we really define money and fully understand it. And I know some of you guys will have heard some of these concepts before, but I think it's a great reminder. It's good to always come back to this space of neutrality with money. Money in itself has changed so much throughout the years, right? Throughout the millennia. It's been gold coins, it's been paper, it's been strings of chili, it's been exchange for sex, it's been all kinds of things. It is a literal shapeshifter. It can be almost anything at all. And the reason for that is because money is not actually a thing in itself. It's really just a representation of something, and that is an exchange of value. Now, value itself is defined as the worth or significance of something, right? And that is really subjective. You might value a new car, but I might value travel more. A person who's out in the desert may value a bottle of water way more than somebody who's living in the country without a water tank, right? If you've got a collectible Harry Potter book, the person who needs to survive the night in the desert will not value that very much unless they can burn the pages for fire and warmth. Whereas if you're a collector, you're going to really value that. So value is something that we construct entirely in our minds. It's created in the human mind. And it is subjective and different for each one of us. And oftentimes, value is not even something we trade for dollars or bills, right? We donate blood. We literally sit and give, I don't know, like a liter of blood for free, because there's an exchange of value that takes